A company could have massive amount of structured or unstructured data. Structured would be like your tables in a spreadsheet or a database. But unstructured, which is majority of the data, is something like this video or this script, text. So how does a data analyst make sense of all this? A data analyst first needs to understand what he's solving for. What question is the company asking him to solve? So that is one use case. Another time, a data analyst is just exploring the data to see what can be solved, what could be done with this data that they're already collecting. Whichever the case might be, a data analyst first starts to explore that data. In some cases, the data could be spread out through multiple systems, which is not connected at all. So then a data analyst needs to figure out how to find the common elements between those different data sets and combine it together. After they figure out where's all the different data coming from and how they've merged it together, they start looking at what does this data contain. Many times the data is not clean and it's not consistent. So a lot of the work actually goes into cleaning up the data to make it useful. Okay, so now we've got our data nice and clean. What do we do next? Well, we need to figure out what is the answer to the business question we were given to begin with. The easiest way to do this is by graphing the data in a visualization. We have many options when it comes to visualization tools. The easiest one to get started with is Excel, or we can start to use some of these different business intelligence tools like Microsoft Power BI or Tableau. Let me know in the comments below what data analysis tools you're going to use. Okay, we have our question we want to answer, we've got the data prepped, and we've got the tools we want to use picked out. Time to start exploring the data and begin to answer a question. We need to look at the data and figure out, can we answer this question with the data we have? Or do we need to go back and find more data sources to bring into our data set? After we have created our reports and visualization, now this is where we turn the data into information. The data analyst now needs to think about what is this information telling me and what can I do with it? What actionable steps can I take? As a data analyst, we need to have our domain knowledge and industry knowledge to evaluate our findings. Then finally, the data analyst works with the stakeholders and shares the information they uncovered and make recommendations from the data. If you're getting value out of this video, go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Now, this is just one of the many scenarios a data analyst is involved in. Data analysis is used in every industry, and data analysts are needed in all kinds of companies. And data analysis is a skill you can really take in any profession. To better understand how data analysis is used in other jobs and other industries, I interviewed one of my friends who's been an electrical engineer for more than a decade. And he shared how he uses statistical analysis in his job on a day-to-day basis for semiconductor manufacturing. Let's check it out. Okay, so would you tell me what technical skills did you have to develop in your industry at work?
In the semiconductor industry, as an engineer, you are going to be doing a lot of statistical process control and running your own experiments and being able to run those statistics to determine whether or not one of your experiments is statistically significant as compared, to when you're comparing the different groups within your experiment. So that's one really important skill set to have. The softwares behind that, right, could be something like Minitab, JMP, used heavily in semiconductor industry.
Okay.
And as well as just, I mentioned statistical process control, or what we call SPC, right? And when I say SPC, to be clear, it's just think of a chart, a monitoring chart.
Okay.
That, each point on that chart you're looking at a certain data point that's connected to your process.
Okay.
Right? So it's telling you how your process is doing. Right? So in the semiconductor industry, when you're coming in, you're typically going to work for a department that is, a department that's doing a certain process to fabricate the chip.
Okay.
And each of those processes have several data points, right, which tell you about the health of that process.
Okay.
So when you're looking at SPC, right, you're looking at multiple charts. Your chart could go, your chart could be stable, right on target. So typically you have a target, you have an upper limit and a lower limit. When your chart is just, all of a sudden tanks, your process goes south, right? You have to react to that.
Okay.
So then you would have to do that, like I said, that analysis on what happened, what went wrong. You have to use some of that prior knowledge of, your own process as well as some statistical analysis to determine, okay, what's the problem? Do I need to do something? Do I need to halt the process? Do I need to reroute to not use that specific tooling or that specific chemical or whatever your process would be?
Okay.
So again, you learn just through the experience, and you come across so many different scenarios where eventually, after like a few years, you would have come across almost all the scenarios that could, most of the scenarios that could exist.
So in summary, Waj, tell me what you just said. What does that mean for what, as a student, what do I need to know?
So what you would need to know is stats is just a way of analyzing data, which there's plenty of, right? That you're gonna have access to.
Okay.
And then you use that statistics to determine whether or not a decision is worth pursuing, or whether or not a project or something is worth pursuing.
Okay.
Right. So it could just be something, a simple decision of whether or not you need to take an action, or something like, do you need to change your entire process? Do you need to create some new process? Right. So it's just a decision-making tool, simply put.
Okay, using stats to determine what decisions to make.
Yeah.
And there you're analyzing the data, and there's different visualizations and different kinds of charts you're looking at.
Absolutely.
Okay, so and a decision could be, you're making a decision on the process. Is that like, hey, do we need to change, like I think you mentioned chemicals, like do I need to change a chemical or put more or less of something?
Exactly.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, you could change the chemistry, you could change the volumes, you could change the other parameters, depending on what your process is. There's quite a few parameters you could change.
Gotcha. And that's all to go make different kind of computer chips we're talking about here, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's a lot of data analysis that goes into it. I did not know that. I thought it was just like you're making computer chips and designing things. Okay, that's cool. Well, and that's the cool thing is that data analysis is a skill that is used in basically every industry. That's a very useful skill you could apply anywhere. There you have it, friends. Like the video if you got value out of it, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Hit the bell icon if you want to be part of the exclusive notification squad. Check out some of my other videos here, and hey, keep on being awesome.